Hi guys, welcome back to my series of I Was Burnt Alive at 21. Now, I have to keep saying this, but if you haven't started from the beginning, you have to go back and watch it from the beginning. I'm sorry this bores people, but it is, I have to say it because some people will start and they won't get where things are. Obviously, also, there's graphic content and graphic detail of injuries and things that have happened to me. So, where we left this off is I was feeling really, really down, basically, and a bit lonely and a bit down. And following morning came, and the doctor come in, and obviously I was laid out, in my usual customary virtually naked I was naked situation with cling film on me. And the doctor comes in, he said, "All right, I've got some good news for you." I said, "Oh, that sounds amazing." He said, "But before I give you the good news, would it be okay if I assessed you with a student?" Because and I thought, well, I'm used to being completely naked in front of people now. It kind of is what it is. I said, "Well, yeah, people to learn, so yeah, carry on." So I was expecting, a student nurse to come in or whatever, to look at me and look at the damage that's to me. And the room filled with people. So there was probably 9 or 10 student, I'm guessing doctors or nurses, whoever they were, I don't know who they were, all staring at me. And even though I had been relatively comfortable with the nurses and whatever, seeing me naked now because it was, but that actually was uncomfortable again. I was like, oh, I thought I got used to this, and it's just like, well, they're in here now, aren't they? So, and he was showing them my injuries and the problems they've had, and so that was all going on, and I just laid there, well, literally like a dummy. And, once that had all happened and they all hushed out there and the nurses come in and started dressing my wounds again, the doctor said, "Right, your good news." I was like, "Oh, this would be nice." He said, "You're being put back out onto a ward." Because all of this time I've been in a room on my own. Because obviously the severity of my injuries, I needed to have, not be with everyone else. And obviously I'm very prone to infection. But the way my injuries were at the moment, my second skin grafts looked like they were taken fine and they were being dressed at the same time everything else was. So it was, relatively good news all round. So I was having normal baths, horrendous baths, but they were no worse than I didn't have to have my leg hanging out. So I was into basically a routine of maintenance, cleaning, dressing. But it just, so much time has gone on, and I'm very bored and very lonely. And family are there and friends are there, but there's a lot of time when you're just on your own. So being out on a general walk was quite nice because you've got people to talk to. So that was really good. That was really quite satisfying. That really kind of perked me up a bit, if I'm honest. And so I was put out on the ward, and to be fair, I was put out on the ward thinking this is going to be great. There's loads of people. There was 2 others on the walk with me, and one was a gentleman across from me who had had some quite nasty burns to his bum and his feet, and an old gentleman in the corner who'd had to walk through flames to get out of his apartment, bless him, and he'd burnt all one side of his face and his arm, having to shield himself walking out of his flat. And he was a lovely, lovely man as well. I felt very sorry for him. The guy with the burns, he just got really hammered and went to have a bath, turned the hot tap on and fell asleep and scolded himself. That's how that happened. So anyway, that was that. And I was on on this general ward, and again, the kind of days rolled into each other a bit. I don't want to go through each day with you because you know what's going on. I have my injections, and every now and again I'd have the bad nurse stab me. And but for all intents and purposes, they kind of were what they were, the days. But I was still getting quite down. And one of the nurses, she's a lovely, lovely lady, she could see I wasn't very happy and I was a bit down. And she said, well, how about if I wheel your bed? Because I still can't walk. She said, I'll wheel your bed into the day room, because back then there was a room with a TV and a load of chairs and stuff in it, and it had a big glass, like not just windows, like a big glass wall kind of thing, a huge big window that looked out over the valley. And I was like, oh, that'd be amazing, thanks. So, you know, they wheeled me down the hallway to this day room, and I was looking out the window, and it was lovely. It was fields and everything, and I was just like, oh, I want to be out there. And then I could hear this motorbike, this in the background. Now, I've raced motocross most of my life, really, and up to that point, I was still doing it. So it was like a real kind of, it's hard to explain. It just, like I say, nostalgia, like it was forever ago, but at that point I was still doing it, but it just gave me that buzz. I was like, oh, I miss it so much. And I was watching these two lads rip around this little field on this little field bike and having so much fun. I was like, oh, and actually, initially I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then I thought, I really miss my normal life at the moment. And it actually kind of made me a bit more down. And I was just watching them playing and enjoying themselves, and I was laying there in all this pain and this discomfort. So initially I was really kind of happy about seeing it, and then it kind of reminded me why I was there and reminded me what I hadn't had or wasn't getting. So I felt quite teary, to be honest. And then the view, like directly down from the window, I could just about see, like there's a little road going into a car park. And just at the corner of my eye, I just thought, do I know that car? That car looked really, really familiar. And then it went, and then obviously that was that. I didn't, I can't say many more than that. It's just a car that looked familiar, and that was it. So I was carrying and watching this bike and these two lads having fun and thinking about life before and life after, what's going to happen to me. Now, so there's something that I haven't brought up yet, because I haven't had to. I'm someone that truly believes things happen for reasons. Good and bad things happen for reasons. And for a while now, especially at night when I can't sleep and I'm just, I thought to myself, and I've been thinking, what have I done to deserve all this pain and agony? I was never a great child for my parents. I was always a pain in the bum, basically, and I'd fight too much and do stupid things, and I wasn't the best teenager. I was a pain. I know I was a pain. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't horrific, but yes, I was an awkward child, and a bit loud and whatever. So did a lot of stupid things, but nothing at all that could warrant this amount of agony and pain and suffering. And it just mulled. I just used to mull over it in my mind. What have I done to deserve this? What have I done to deserve this? And then I just kept getting more and more down and more low about the situation, and how much pain I was in and what I was missing, and I couldn't get through my head, why this was happening and why this happened to me. And I was basically on a bit of a spiral down, for not no good reason, but I was on a bit of a spiral down to how I was feeling. I was really, really down. And then I heard a voice in the background. I thought, God, that just sounds so familiar, but, And then I heard it again, and it was someone asking something. And then there was the door just kind of, I say burst open, I don't mean ta-da, burst open, but the door just suddenly swung open to the day room. And it was my old boss, who I really got on very, very well with, and his wife had come in, and I just cried. I just looked at him and cried. It was like perfect timing. I was just very, very emotional. I was very, very down, and all of a sudden, there he is with a basket of grapes, as always, and magazines, and I just couldn't. He just couldn't have come at a better time. And it was his car that I saw going into the car park. But obviously, it's thousands of those cars, so I didn't know it was. It was just the same make and colour of his car. But yeah, it's so emotional. I just cried, and he's like, "You're right. What's happened?" I don't know. I just so pleased to see you, and I just cried, and he come over and well, they couldn't give me a hug, but his wife come over and just basically patted me on the end. Don't worry. And so yeah, he come in and we had a really lovely chat, and he brought in some pictures of cars that I'd done for him. I'd made a 3 Series hardtop car coupe BMW into convertible. I cut the roof off and I painted it and everything. And he had all the pictures done. He brought them all in to show me how good it looked after I'd finished. Because I in the meantime, all of this had happened and I hadn't seen what they'd look like when they were all put back together. And they come out lovely. And there's all these pictures, and some of the customers had, showed their thanks by, sending letters and stuff about the cars that we'd done. So yeah, that was amazing, absolutely amazing. He'd come at such the right time, because I was a bit broken, to be honest, emotionally. I was very, very upset and very, very down, and he was exactly what I needed right at that point in time. So he stayed all day. They both stayed with me all day and chatting, and yeah, that was really, really lovely, and meant the world to me. Yeah, so that evening, obviously he left, and that was lovely. That really, really kind of picked me up. That was just what I needed. So that evening, obviously I was on my own again, but I was laying in bed and I was going through the whole "why has this happened to me" thing, and I had a eureka moment. I was like, I know why this has happened, and it's nothing to do with what I've done or whatever else. It was who I was becoming. If I carried on down the road I was travelling and the way I was acting, it was only ever going to end badly, very, very badly. So the whole, what have I done? Nothing bad to that point. But I needed to change. I needed to change myself. I needed to be a better person and not do stupid things. And excuse me. So I needed to turn my life around and be a better person and be the person I should be, not the person I was becoming. So I made a promise to myself that night that when I get out of hospital, I'm going to be the best person I can be. I'm going to, don't lie, don't hurt people, don't do any, awful. Stand up for myself, stand up for my family, and try and be the best person I can be. And that's the promise I made myself when I left, when I was going to leave. Obviously, the hospital, that was where I was going. And that is what had to happen. That is, for me, the reason all of this has happened to me. And I needed to suffer to realise that I need to change my life completely and knuckle down and be a good person and be a better person, because I wasn't that good person. I wasn't the better person. And I seem to do everything the hard way. I always seem to, if someone says, "Oh, don't do that," so yeah, that was it. That was my eureka moment. And that's why I would never take that back, because that's exactly what I needed to happen. And that's how I changed the way I am. So that was amazing. That was like freeing, absolutely freeing for me personally, because from that point on, I took everything that happened to me with you probably deserve this, or it's good. Learn from this now. Get on with your life. Sort this out. So I felt amazing. That absolutely is almost like a weight had been lifted. And although I was in a lot of pain, it's almost like the pain eased a bit as well, because, that was a really good clarifying for me. So anyway, not long after I realised this, the nurse come in with what, as I called in a few videos ago, the sweet trolley. And obviously we've struggled like hell to get painkillers that work for me. And they've been trying, obviously morphine was a big no-go because it made me ill. So they've been trying all these different things, and this nurse come in, she goes, "Oh, I've got really good news for you, Adam." I'm like, "Oh, it's amazing. This is just like the best evening ever." And she goes, "I've been given permission to give you one of these." And it was this, I don't know what it is, a tiny, tiny, tiny little, either black or brown, I can't remember, one or the other pill. It was tiny. She said, "You know, these are really, really strong. You know, it should help you a lot." I was like, "Yeah, brilliant. Let's give it a try, innit?" So anyway, she gave me this pill, gave me some water. I took it, and that was that, and off she went. And I just was sat there just feeling so good. I mean, yeah, I was feeling amazing. So about an hour or so later, she comes back in, and I'm like, "Oh, you know, I just feel so much better, you know." And she goes, "Oh, you're awake." I was like, "Well, yeah, you know." She says, "How's your pain?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm still in agony, but personally, I just feel better. You know, like I said, big weight lifted, it's great." She said, "So you're still in agony and you're quite obviously awake?" I'm like, yeah. She said, "Well, I'll be back in a minute." And she just kind of looked a bit flustered and wandered off. So anyway, she comes back probably 10, 15 minutes later. She goes, "Well, I've been talking to your doctor and I've got permission to give you one more. But if I give you this one," she said, "you can't have any more painkillers for the further," it's either 12 or 24 hours. I would have thought 24 to be fair, but I don't know. Like I said, it's a while ago now, so I can't really get it right. And so I took another one, and off she went. And she pops back maybe an hour or so later, and she's like, "Oh, you're still awake." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "What we've just given you would put a horse to sleep." I was like, that's not great. And it's just like my body flat out refuses to take any kind of medication and allow me to have some kind of respite from pain. And that was it. And I said, "Well, it doesn't really matter because nothing's working anyway." The only thing that ever worked was coming out of the operations. Whatever I had then to obviously knock me out and whatever, worked until that wore off when I woke up the following day. But other than that, the pain was never gone. It was there 24/7. So yeah, that literally was it. That was all they could give me, you know, other than the morphine, which made me ill, and that was as strong as I could go. So that was a kind of a realization that was never going to get any better. The pain just was what it was, and I just had to cope with the baths and the, you know, the changing and whatever else. So yeah, that was my tough luck basically. So I'll leave it there, and I hope you're still enjoying it, and there's still more to come. And yeah, it keeps getting bad. So I'll leave it there, and we'll catch up with you in the next one. I hope you're enjoying it. Like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to say. Cheers, guys.